Okay, so now we're going to learn how to link our podcast from School Center into iTunes, and there's a lot of little steps and special hints along the way. So first, I wanted to show you in my step 2 video, I showed you the little thing about a subdirectory so that you can share your podcast address easily with students and parents. Well, I've already kind of made one for this one, and this one is friendship.us. I know it's already saved there. I created one called Spear, and that'll lead you to my homepage. And this one is podcasting. And look what happens. Bam, it goes straight there. And that's a great tool for you. You can set it up to do friendship.us/history podcast or whatever, and it'll take you straight to your podcast. Now, from here, if we're going to update this into iTunes, you're going to hit podcast settings, and I'm assuming to do this, of course, you have to log into School Center. All right, make sure you've logged into the website. Podcast settings, a window that looks like this will show up. From here, you're going to want to click the iTunes URL, and I'm assuming you've already filled in all this information. And when you click the iTunes URL, this window will pop up. Don't you love Windows? This Apple Podcast FAQ is, I think it's this one right here. This is what I posted on the Moodle thing. There's 2 different Apple ones that are posted, actually. You can read those. Those are fantastic sources of information that you might want to read before you consult a lot of help, because they answer a lot of the common questions. Copy this URL, Control-C, and you'll want to do that before you hit this button to submit this podcast to the iTunes Music Store. And here's another thing, you need to have iTunes on your computer. If at this point you don't have iTunes, you'll have to click here, download it, install it, and then you'll need to establish and set up an account. This is our account. When you type this in, I selected the field. I'm going to hit Control-V for paste. That is the link to the RSS feed. And if you're curious as to an RSS feed, what I'm talking about, this is an RSS feed right here. This page is the RSS feed. This is the most common looking RSS feed window, and this is what iTunes looks at. iTunes doesn't technically go to the School Center podcast page and search your categories and all that. No, it looks for this page right here. School Center merely translates this page into something that's not as much of a list. It's a little more organized, where you can do more customization and things. So iTunes is actually looking for an RSS feed, which stands for Really Simple Syndication. Get it? Okay, from here, you've put this in, you hit continue, and some of you, if you haven't signed in and entered your password in a recent manner, you probably will have to do it again here. Let's see, it'll let me go ahead and just do it. Assuming there's an episode there, which it is, then you'll have a chance to review this podcast before you submit. And once you submit, and I don't want to do that because this is just a joke podcast, so I'm going to cancel that. But once you submit it, you'll get an email that looks like this from the iTunes Store, and it'll say blah 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 blah. And this, by the way, will go to whatever email address you use to set up your iTunes account. So for me, my iTunes account is actually a personal email address, so I forwarded this to my school address. And then here we have an iTunes Store logo right there. Tell him I'll call him back. And this is what you'll see after they approve your podcast. So here, this is one we'll talk about when we talk about updating it, this little ping thing here. But this was the thing I got for the Friendship Percussion podcast. Well, let's look and see what that looks like. Here's a podcast that I use with my students right now. And this is actually a website, but it has links to the iTunes page, which, let's do it. So this is your iTunes, assuming you've got it all set up and updated and all that. This is what will appear in iTunes. And you can see from here that there are a lot of episodes to this particular podcast. One thing you want to keep in mind, how you name your files in your RSS feed, and that goes all the way back to School Center. When you are establishing a name, and you edit the document, you can change the name, taking out spaces. But I also found, and as a teacher who has 6th through 12th grade students, it helps to have more structure to the title so that you can help find it here, because there's not going to be categories inside of iTunes. There's just going to be categories in School Center, but that won't help you, will it? So in iTunes, what I did, I had middle school. So if I've got a 7th grader looking for a tutorial on their snare drum thing, well, they look for middle school, then they look for 7th grade, then they look for 7th grade tutorial. I don't even know if I have one, but they can do a reference recording. And that's what these are: 60 beats a minute, 40 beats a minute. And I just recorded myself playing one of the solos. Beautifully, I might add. So this is just one of the elements that a podcast can do. These are, for me, works really great because I can, again, multiply my presence in other places. Tutorials in the middle of the night, I don't have to be awake at a kid's house to give it to them. I can just make a podcast and they can listen to it whenever they want, on the weekend, in the morning, in the night, whatever. Now, the last thing I want to tell you here, as I close some of these windows down, you'll want to put, after you get that approval from iTunes, you'll want to put that URL here, then you'll hit done, and that way, when you open up your window, this link will appear as well. Subscribe to this podcast with iTunes. And that way, people who go to your website, your podcast website, they can click this button and it'll take them straight to the iTunes link. And from there they can upload and all that. This is a fantastic product, especially for kids. And if they've got an iPhone, they can literally download these things in seconds. Okay, and not that the kids that I had one in class, but when they were at home, they would tell me, look, hey, I looked for Friendship Percussion, I found it, I subscribed, I downloaded everything, and they're at home practicing and listening to the tutorials, getting that help, whatever they need. And it works exactly the same way for you in your classroom. They can download these lectures, activities, discussions, they can download them immediately. And what a wonderful tool for you, so that you don't have to relive everything. And iTunes is a great, I'm not like a spokesman, but they are a lot better, a better interface for doing this kind of thing than if you go to School Center and you try to download each and every one of these files one at a time. That's just not a really fast way of downloading a lot of stuff. Here, you can hit subscribe and bang, download all the episodes virtually as fast as your internet connection will allow. So really, again, only do this if you're really going to use it, because we don't need a lot of, when someone does a search for friendship, we don't want a whole lot of podcasts coming up that only have 2 episodes on them. All right, only do the iTunes thing if you're really going to support it. Otherwise, it's going to be there, and it's kind of a pain to erase and change the URLs and all that. So make sure you commit to doing that, and there will be all kinds of little obstacles in the way between School Center, the interface, and iTunes. Hopefully most of those bugs have been worked out, mainly with this podcast, worked a lot of those out for you. But if you encounter bugs like that, you have an error message or it seems like it's not updating correctly, let me know and I will put you in touch with the people who can help you.